As a member of the rigging crew, you are working in an inherently dangerous environment. You have a responsibility to work safely and to ensure your co-workers are as well. Since the underlying cause of most serious accidents is not being in the clear, we'll continually emphasize safe work procedures that address being in a safe location. Your work environment is conducive to slips and falls. There's not much you can do to change the environment, but you can ensure that your corks are sharp, so they provide as much traction as possible. Avoid jumping from log to log. Make sure a log is stable before stepping or climbing on it. If it's winter, add the problem of snow, which can hide all kinds of surprises. Assume that everything is capable of moving without notice. Rocks or stumps can be dislodged, logs may slide off a landing, or a yarding line may pick up and tight line chunks or root wads down the hill. The area directly below a landing on steep ground is especially dangerous. No matter where you are, keep in mind places to escape or hide if something starts to roll toward you. Never turn your back on it until you know exactly where it is going. Whenever possible, chokers must be set from the uphill side of the log. Persons must not be on the lower side of a log which appears to be unstable or likely to roll. It will be tempting to swing on the chokers from one area to another. It is one of the fastest ways to get yourself injured badly and/or a place on the unemployment line. Don't do it. When rigging a yarding system, one of the first considerations is where and how yarding lines will be anchored. A hook tender is responsible for choosing a solid tailhold to anchor to. If the hook tender has concerns about the tailhold, he will probably tie it back. A twister is one method of tying back. Another method is to wrap and go back. Installing and removing a twister is extremely dangerous. Take it slowly. Make sure the twister stick is a strong pole or sapling and is long enough for you to gain leverage and secure the twister pole in place. The pole should be secured at a 90-degree angle to the twister lines. Remember, twisters don't need to be fiddle string tight. Position yourself so that your head, your face, is off to the side. When releasing a twister, always unwrap the twister. Never cut the twister pole to reduce tension. When high lead logging, the hook tender will usually run the haul back through two corner blocks. The load is shared by two tail holds rather than one tail hold supporting the whole system. The hook tender will watch the tail holds for a few turns to ensure it's going to hold. He will instruct the yarder operator and the crew if they need to lighten the turns or maintain more belly in the skyline because of a weak tail hold. Of course, a tail hold doesn't have to be a stump. It can also be a standing tree. A stump, improperly secured, can be pulled out of the ground. On the other hand, a tree can be pulled over. Therefore, when choosing a tree for a tailhold, make sure if it's pulled over, it won't enter the work area. If there's a chance it will enter the work area, it must be properly tied back, or any employees in the area must be in the clear before the go-ahead signal is given. The employees must stay clear unless the rigging is stopped. A tail lift tree is different than a tail hold tree. So whenever a tail lift tree is within the reach of the work area and the rigging is placed on the tail lift tree at a height greater than 5 times the diameter of the tree, at least 2 guy lines must be used. Unless the tree size, strength, and the rigging position eliminate the need for guy lines. Again, all employees must be in the clear before the go-ahead signal is given. Running lines must be arranged so that the employees are not required to work in the bight of the line. The area in front of a corner block is one of those areas to stay out of when lines are being moved under tension. There are times, of course, when employees must enter the bight of the line, such as when setting a turn, but only after the rigging has been stopped. Those employees must move out of the area before the signal to move the turn is given, or the employees must be in a position where they are protected by standing timber, terrain, or other objects large enough to ensure their safety. We can't put too much emphasis on the danger faced by rigging crews who don't take the time to get in the clear before giving the go-ahead signal. No matter how many years of experience you have, there never will come a time when you can accurately predict how logs will react when yarded, when lines will break, or when a log might slip out of a choker. So make sure you're in the clear of the logs, root wads, chunks, hazardous trees, rolling material, and rigging before the go-ahead signal is given. And then you must stay in the clear until all rigging movement has stopped. You must move away from the turn so as to be behind the turn and uphill and in the clear. Remain on your feet and facing the turn before the go-ahead signal is given. Don't crowd the rigging, and don't try to stop a wildly swinging choker with your body. Either wait for the chokers to settle down or slack chokers to the ground and then retighten them if necessary. Place chokers near the end of the log or tree whenever possible. This will prevent upending or swinging, which is very dangerous. When a log swings, it can take out a whole crew. A long end is permitted when needed to safely land a tree length or long log. When deciding how many logs or trees to choke at any one time, remember the weight of the log is affected by many factors. These include the species, the moisture content, the diameter, and the length. Match the size of the turn to the machine and safe load capacity of the yarding system. Overloading places a strain on the machine, rigging, and tail holds. It can lead to failure of a part or even the whole system. When a road is being picked up, do not walk ahead of the turn unless you are in the clear. Here is a simple rule all of you instinctively know. As much as possible, stay out from under suspended rigging. That's just common sense. Rigging could drop unexpectedly for various reasons, including mechanical failure. If you need to cross under the rigging, do so quickly. When yarding lines are strung through standing timber, such as a riparian management zone or stream buffers, lines could be held up by branches, knots, and so forth, and suddenly drop without warning. Always clear yarding lines up after a road change by skinning the rigging back and forth a few times and or by picking up and dropping the lines a few times. One of the absolute laws of logging is that a turn will sooner or later hang up. You can count on it. When it happens, stay in the clear, slack the rigging, and allow the logs to settle before fighting the hang-up. Approach the hang-ups from the upper side. Remember, another absolute law of logging is that you will never know what way a log will swing or react to a movement of the rigging. Get in and stay in the clear. If this is starting to sound like a broken record, it's meant to. Stay in the clear of danger trees and snags, or get them on the ground. And don't overlook danger trees along cutting lines, or leave areas or standing trees which have been weakened or damaged during yarding. Danger trees are often referred to as snags. Snags are obvious hazards. Other less obvious danger trees would include trees that are rotten, have root disease, lean heavily, or have other significant damage. During thinning operations, or when working near standing timber, make sure you watch for hung or lodged trees, widowmakers, and trees which can be pushed or pulled over while yarding. When it is safe, some rigging crews will preset chokers in order to maintain a more steady flow of logs to the landing. The lay of the land will usually dictate if it can be done safely. Therefore, don't try to preset chokers in areas made unsafe by runaway logs. You need to remain clear of standing trees and saplings that could be pulled over by lateral yarding. Partially pulled over trees must be removed before yarding commences or continued in the hazard area. You must remain clear of swinging or upending logs. You and your fellow workers must be in the clear before giving the go-ahead signal. When presetting chokers, there must be at least one signaling device for each signaling system at each location. Since all members of the logging crew cannot see each other, being able to positively signal all members of the crew before a line is moved is vital for the safety of all. To avoid confusion, use the standard whistle signals for your yarding system. They are listed in the Washington Safety Standards for logging operations. If the whistle systems are not working properly, or signals are not accurate, unexpected line or log movement could occur. Whistle signals must be clear and accurate. If the whistles are malfunctioning, stop work immediately. Redundancy, a big word for the importance of the backup systems, is vital to everyone's safety. There must be at least 2 operable transmitters carried by separate individuals whenever there are 2 or more workers at the point where chokers are being set. If the motorized carriage or sky car is controlled by a separate signaling system, there must also be 2 operable transmitters carried by separate individuals. Voice communications, such as walkie-talkies, may be used to move rigging and control movement of logs, provided a standard whistle signal is sounded before any line is moved. When grapple yarding, and employees are not exposed to the hazard of moving logs or rigging, voice communication alone is acceptable. Yarding lines, straps, shackles, blocks, and other rigging needs to be inspected regularly. When inspecting an eye splice, pay close attention to the inside radius of the eye where it contacts the shackle. Eventually, all rigging wears out or could be damaged and break, even though it's relatively new. A telltale sign of wire rope weakness is broken wires. If they are starting to develop, a closer inspection is needed to determine if the wire rope needs to be replaced or repaired. Working as a logger on a rigging crew may not be for everyone. Good crews do not tolerate workers who work in an unsafe manner and put themselves and others at risk of being injured. Good crews take pride in their safety record and strive to continually improve. They understand that the safe way is also the most productive way. With the proper mindset, you can enjoy an injury-free career as a logger.